Last one of our fabulous Chris, and then we'll start. Okay, I think his name was Chris, right? Yeah, Chris, 1985. I don't know who that guy is. I don't know, but he's fabulous anyway. So that kept us busy for 7 minutes. Yeah, so I've been practicing raw reading. That's what I'm calling it. It's where I just read something I've really not read before. I've taken a look at it. I know it's meat. I know it's good, but I just want to dive right in and not bother with cooking it. So that's kind of something. So you'll see a bunch of just news articles as I'm practicing my news voice. Or just having fun, just practicing some raw reading. Anyway, so with that, came across another article, and I was gonna do a raw read on it, but as I was skimming it, something else caught my attention, and so then I recorded an article about Coca-Cola greenwashing their products, and I've heard of greenwashing, but I hadn't really dove into it much, and so this was a good chance to do that. So that's what I have done. And I thought it was kind of interesting, and I was just going to record it, and I thought, I'll just do it live so that my peeps can join in the fun with me. So this was such a fun article. So I'm going to start out with this one, and then we'll go back a few tabs. This was, I don't know what this company is. Nowhere, everywhere. That's right. And it's clickbaity title. I mean, come on. It says Bezos, the billionaire hero? Nope. So I had to read it, So it says, the word greenwashing is believed to have come about in the 1980s when environmentalist Jay Westerveld was staying at a resort in the Pacific and read a sign that asked him to place his towel on a rack. Don't wash, or on the floor. Replace. The notice continued along that I don't know what that says. The notice continued along the of stating. I think that's a typo. The notice continued along and stated that millions of liters of water could be saved with less towel washing, as well as the costs borne by the company, of course. Across the road, however, the hotel was expanding and building more bungalows on cleared land. And this was greenwashing. And greenwashing existed before then, of course. It was sometimes known as eco pornography during the 60s. I feel that would have a different meaning now. And with the world's most largest adult website, bizarre venture into ocean sustainability, it appears the word it has itself in itself become a niche. So greenwashing really found its ground when major oil companies tried to greenify their image. Chevron's erogenous People Do campaign during this time used small and cheap environmental campaigns by the employees, protecting bears, butterflies, and sea turtles, to help cover up their oil drilling and financial support for anti environmentalism. It's a tactic these conglomerates still employ today. Shell, the creator of the internal warning on warming in 1991, has been releasing ads of car races running on renewables and joining the Alliance to End Plastic Waste, whilst betting on the expansion of plastics over the coming decades. Renewable energy doesn't figure on the balance statement and barely exists in the annual report. BP just announced a 2050 carbon neutral plan without a plan, whilst stating they will continue to grow their oil and gas business. And Aramco, Saudi Oil, and the world's most profitable company has been busy with a blitz and rebrand to convince the public it's not so bad. Spoiler, it's bad. Greenwashing has only gotten more complex since it was coined. It's often more subtle now. You can't just slap a quick ad together of people smiling and running through fields whilst you destroy the planet. Marketing has gotten much better. We live in a world where our modern skills is learning to distinguish real news whilst analyzing news sources from the millions of pieces of misinformation, missing conducts, unsourced data, and blatant lies. Greenwashing and social impact, for that matter, is the same. And everything needs to be triple checked, cross referenced, and understood in context. It's something we need to teach and learn. And I did just read from a book, The Kid's Guide to Consumerism, that is teaching and learning. Of course, it was a book from 1972. So there's that. And Bezos is a good lesson. So let's learn. His $10 billion climate package has gained praise across the media, throughout social posts by influencers and bloggers alike. Bezos is going to save the earth. He's not. Bezos' cash is what we've been waiting for. It's not. Bezos is in charge of Amazon, Whole Food, and Blue Origin. His products and services span from fast consumer goods to food to technology services and space travel. Billions! Us humans have quite a bit of trouble understanding the difference between a million and a billion. So let's get that right first, as it's an enormous difference. 1 million seconds is 11.5 days, whilst 1 billion seconds is 31.5 years. A popular tweet recently said, if you worked every single day making $5,000 a day from the time Columbus sailed to America in 1942 to the time you are reading this tweet, you would still not be a billionaire. And you would have and you would still have less money than Jeff Bezos makes in a week. It's true. It would take you 562 years to earn $1 billion. Bezos is worth 137 billion. So that would take you 76,994 years, earning $5,000 a day every single day year round. I don't believe I know anyone who earns that much per day. And most of us would be lucky to make that per month, but let's roll with it. So a Business Insider says had calculated Bezos' pay using his 2017 and 2018 net worth difference and found he made approximately $149,353 a minute per minute. I feel very confident stating that everyone reading this so far closer to losing everything and experiencing homelessness than becoming a billionaire. You don't earn billions ethically and sustainably. It's simply not possible in our current world. I love that statement because I've said that rich people cannot have ethics or values or morals. It's impossible. So he gave $10 billion. Why shouldn't we praise it as much as we collectively had? Go Bezos. Isn't it still a lot of money? Absolutely, but in context, it's only 7% of his net worth. Even God tells you to tithe 10. With a net worth of $137 billion, he's the richest person in the world. Plenty of us give away far more than our net worth. And it's so much harder to do when you have small salaries like most of us do. And giving away 10% of your $100,000 is a huge dent. But giving away 10% of $1 billion isn't noticeable in any way. And even then, the fund pledges to literally save the planet. It's going to require a hell of a lot more to put it in context with our crisis. So it goes on to talk about this. The lowest cost scenario for decarbonizing the planet's energy systems would cost upfront $73 trillion. That's 10 billion in less than 1/7,000th of this. Bernie Sanders' Green New Deal is to address climate change and justice is priced at 16 trillion. Elizabeth Warren's is 10 trillion. 1 trillion is 1,000 billion. Bezos' pledge is 0.0625% of what we would need in the Sanders plan. He could just give that away. According to the World Bank, the impact of extreme natural disasters is equivalent to a global $520 billion loss in annual consumption and forces some 26 million people into poverty each year. China is set to invest $100 billion in facilities to turn crude oil into chemicals over the next 5 years. The U.S. ideally needs to build its electric grid, and that's going to cost approximately $5 trillion. Okay, I see your question there. I'm sorry. You know, what's my little, what's maybe, 20 seconds, 10, I don't know. My curtains are almost a little too short because I'm rushing to get the thing up on the page, although I'm still going to use them. That would be rad if I could have a new one with my curtains and then, like, I don't know. You just do whatever. I don't care. I will like it no matter what it is because that's how I am. But yeah, maybe just long enough to be able to click a couple buttons. So I'm not totally sure seconds wise, because you think like 30 seconds isn't very long, but then sometimes 30 seconds can feel super long. You know what I'm saying? Okay. There is talk of creating a So there's talk of creating a North Sea enclosed dike that would protect an approximately 25 million Europeans from rising sea levels. Based on existing projects, the scientists estimate the cost would be 250 billion to 500 billion euros. Isn't it good to just donate money though, right? Oh, if you care about democracy and social policy, no. I highly, highly recommend reading Winners Take All. I'll probably do that, as it explains this concept far more thoroughly and eloquently, whilst being an excellent read. We have a real problem in the world where we've made it very comfortable and justifiable internally and externally for a tiny portion of people to make billions of dollars through destruction and exploited labor. Rather, we like the end results of computers, phones, or fast shopping, doesn't even matter. And then spend far less than we make on the other side to do good in whatever way they please. We don't have any, this goes to that, that's what they have to do. So this is the Illuminati narcissistic issue that they have, is that they're dirtbag people. So they don't do good, and they don't even know how to do good. So they have to have rules in order to know how to do good. And so they have things in place like the rule of tithing or donating. And since I'm going to have to donate because that makes me look good, look, people need you. They have to see you as a hero. WikiHow, how to control people. Let them see you as a hero. So as a business, it's to my benefit that people see me in a good light. And what in the past, what did we think? Money, because money hits them, they're going to relate that to me. So if I give away billions, it looks like I'm suffering. But these people have long gone past any impact that could make. And so if I'm going to do something good, then I need a reward for it. And that's why they give themselves tax deductions, tax breaks. They give themselves awards and have luncheons that cost $5,000 a plate. And the luncheon itself is a $100,000 gala or something like that. They never do anything to actually gain money. It's all just to blow money and look good on their, to others. And that's a Freemason secret. Let others see you as a hero. Be a Shriner. You're harming children, but help blind children in both ways. I remember it's trash cans, but not trash cans, but like collection receptacles for used glasses when I was a kid. And the little tagline for it was help blind kids. And I would laugh and say, ask my dad, I can't decide if that sign is telling me that by donating my frames and glasses, I'm helping to blind kids or I'm helping kids that are blind. The way it was written was left to interpretation. And I remember finding that very odd, and I can't help but also feel that same way now. So that's why they have to do good. They need a 10 commandment to tell them not to murder people. Okay. They just literally don't know that. We don't have any say over this do-gooding, just as we have no say over the original destruction in the supply chain to create sustainable goods and services. We simply have to hope that billionaires spend money in places we think is helpful. And many don't, of course. Many do terrible things on the side, on both sides of the coin. But some try to do good things. They choose what they're passionate about and fail or succeed to some extent. And I think that's why they seem to flock to things like animals and children and the planet, maybe staying away from children. Only a few Sallys will bother, but they seem to like to gravitate towards furry, fuzzy things and trees and the environment. And but that gets children. Children love flowers and children love bunnies. So they don't advocate for the kinds of taxes billionaires should have. They don't lobby for policies that would see this erroneous wealth built off the backs of people distributed more fairly after, say, $100 million. Billionaires leverage our public goods enormously, our infrastructure, government, research, and education. They're not out there talking about a tax on capital rather than income or graduated wealth tax. Under the growth of billionaires, inequality has greatly increased. It is not a true democracy to run the system this way. None of us can buy influence. Billionaires can. That brand of capitalism isn't that one that works for the majority of us. Bezos gets to buy influence and exert power. We don't. Does he even do business with fossil fuel companies? Yes, Amazon explicitly markets to and creates solutions for fossil fuel clients. The solutions they make are targeted to help locate new fossil fuel deposits. And if you were truly serious about climate change, you would reject these clients and not develop products for them. There are lots of small businesses that already do this, like ours. It's hard work and you eliminate a lot of money initially, but Amazon makes plenty of it so it can step up its multi-billion-dollar organization. If Amazon did, it would cause Microsoft and other tech companies to reconsider their partnerships as well. So here you can see some case studies. BP, Hess, Technic, Woodside, Shell, Wilbros, Sea Oil, and GE, oil and gas. White papers, solution briefs, and tools. That's their, our gas solution brief, transforming the Epstein oil and gas. Analyze your industrial process time series data with Amazon ES and Amazon Kinesis. An intelligent image search getting started guide. Re-event 1918 gas for oil and gas or guide, a re-event guide. Analytics, page overview, some more, an ebook, fueling innovation and energy exploration. I love that this is in here because a lot of people don't realize that when you donate, you donate a lot of what's donated money. So if you're donating money to, say, an environmentalist group and they campaign to help stop big oil, what they actually are doing is they're spending money on these things. They're spending money on research and development and analytics and death, think tanks of death. And that's what the money goes to. And then they sell these ideas or they share these ideas with the companies. So the companies are able to get their analytics from the very people that are collecting the donations to save things. And then they take those analytics and they go, how could we use this to sell our product? Well, 9% says. So what else? He's got a problem with ethical labor. So Bezos has issues at Amazon. There's the biggest issues of grueling labor, and the stories that come out of Amazon warehouses are atrocious. The company was also previously well known for low wages, but after long public criticism and the fight for $15 million movement, including a bill by Bernie Sanders titled Stop Bezos Act, it moved to pay its workers the minimum of $15 per hour. This isn't a small startup. It's a multi-billion-dollar company. There's been a growing movement in the company to act on the climate crisis too, whilst making climate pledges. It's also worthwhile to not try to fire people for speaking out. Supportive climate denier groups. Not sponsoring climate denying groups helps, particularly when you're looking to act on the issue. Amazon has sponsored the Competitive Enterprise Institute, a think tank that promotes climate change denial. So how can you be on both? Because you walk the fence. You're on both sides. You're at equilibrium. Bezos has literally every resource he could ever want at his fingertips. So I imagine one human being in a job or an AI script that would be able to evaluate Amazon's external funding as it's approved and make sure it's not going to climate deny. Simple. Another quick fix, stop turning up at oil and gas conferences. Andrew Jassy, the Amazon Web Services chief executive, was reported as telling an oil and gas conference that a lot of things that we have built and released recently have been very much informed by conversations with our oil and gas customers and partners. Oh, that's interesting. So business would be a customer, but the customer is now the consumer. Okay. Slow renewables transition. Amazon should be and has the resources to switching far faster to renewable energy to power its operations. A Greenpeace investigation found that Amazon data centers in Virginia, where most of the cloud infrastructure is located, are powered by only 12% of the renewable energy. So they're only using 12% for their data cloud infrastructure. And 2004. So what is the point? What's the freaking point? In 2014, Amazon vaguely committed to, quote, long-term commitment to achieve 100% renewable energy usage for our global infrastructure footprint. Other huge companies have already hit the goal. Google and its bears repeating, I don't love Google at all. Spent years making their infrastructure far more energy efficient, 50% more than the industry average, according to them, which is something often overlooked. Plastic packaging. Amazon has been partially responsible for a packaging onslaught over the years. This is, of course, also directly related to hyperconsumerism by Amazon, has barely lifted a finger in attempting to address this huge problem. Right? How much, that's hauls. This problem was created and they call it shopping hauls and they call it abundance and indulgence. And open all the LOLs and all the animals, collections. And it's not just their independent retailers. It's also the way they pack and ship their goods. A one box with packing peanuts for earbuds. One giant box with some plastic air bubbles in it for some earbuds. That don't work, by the way, I should add. They're not going to work, so they're going to have to send you another pair. And then what do you do with the pair that don't work? They say just throw them away. We don't want them. And even if you sent them back to us, we're not going to fix them. We're going to just throw them away. We're just adding to the consumerism. In their Whole Foods division, where plenty of it appears, you can't buy food not in a plastic package. It could have specialists between procurement, sustainability, and innovation working on this every day for months if they wanted. This has to be addressed. Once we have huge market players leading the way genuinely and truly sustainably in this space, it will make it much more accessible for all of us and other businesses too. And the business model is the problem. It's something we repeat over and over again. It doesn't matter what H&M do, for example, until they change their business model. The same goes for Amazon. Change the Amazon business model so it doesn't fuel hyperconsumerism. Is that hard? Absolutely. Will you make a few less billion? Good chance, depending on how you do it. It is doable and of high priority for society. Yes. Logistics. The Amazon shopping business is a logistics business, and it's completely unsustainable. Amazon ships 10 billion items a year. In a country the size of America, Prime is a terrible business practice. It needs to overhaul logistics and customer expectations that is created. Amazon has ordered 100,000 electric trucks from startup Rivian, which helps the consumption of energy and running them. Of course, a few months prior to the order, Amazon invested $700 million in the company. So it invested in the company and then ordered product for the company in order to make it look like it's sustainable. Amazon also has a goal to make just half of all shipments net zero by 2030, but it has a goal. What does that mean? It has the ability to do this much quicker. Focus on this, Bezos. This is one of the easiest things we can do. I don't even know how you can make something a net zero. There's no way, because what are you talking about? You have already made it. You've already put it in the red by ordering these electric trucks. So how at 2030, you're going to say it's going to run at net zero. So we have electric trucks, we have this, we have that. So we are now net zero, but you were in the red. So you're only going to be net zero for a moment. It's only going to be a glimmer of a moment. You know, the windmills are only going to work for a split second, and then they're going to be a pain in the ass. Taxes. It would help if Amazon first paid them properly, like the rest of us. Bezos is a billionaire, and billionaires have undue influence over nearly anything they want. In 2018, Amazon posted a profit of $11.2 billion. Instead of paying the statutory 21% income tax rate, it reported a $129 million federal income tax rebate for this year, and a tax rate of -1%. They literally are negative in the paying of the tax. They have their owed money, your money. So lobby to close loopholes and subsidies and pay proper taxes is the global multi-billion-dollar company. Unbelievable. And then lobby for a tax on pollution. Amazon's greenhouse gas emissions are nearly the same as the emissions of Switzerland or Denmark. So just Amazon is the same as an entire country that wants to give you a tax for polluting on your way to work. Passion projects. Space is great. I get it. But you don't need a second plant. We need to fix what we are doing to the planet. We need to fix what we're doing to this one. Acknowledging it's a crisis and then choosing to spend $1 billion on non-essential projects is absurd. Also, mansions, nobody needs to live in one. Absolutely nobody. According to the Land Report, a publication that tracks land ownership, Bezos is America's 25th largest landowner. In a striking contrast, just before the climate pledge announcement, Bezos bought up another monstrous home, a property in Los Angeles with a whooping $165 million price tag. I wonder if this was hit by the fires, and did he buy insurance? Come on, billionaires. There is literally zero need for this unless you're intending to home and provide social services to people who can't afford their own safe spaces. If this is an ego match, stop it. Challenge yourself by limiting your home ownership to 3 homes worth less than $10 billion each, or maybe spend some time in the real world we all live in, normal spaces. So what should we do? How do we stop these things? You can say an inner little thank you if it's important to you. We can still express gratitude for decent actions, but how much is up to you is in context. I get it. I'd like to see the best in everyone, and this isn't malicious. I wouldn't recommend throwing it all around social media, showering it with praise, though. Only in such a system are we made to feel we should, and indeed, prolific people do. Tell Bezos that we are so grateful he's not destroying the planet quite so much. That's brilliant. Thank you, Bezos. We're so grateful you're not destroying the planet quite as much as you could. That sounds like when you would like say to, thank you, your royalness, for having mercy on me. Thank you for only cutting off my arm or for only killing my cows. I know you are powerful and you could do so much more. Most people in the know, most people in the know of the, most people know of these things. And most people in the know of these things seem to have reached a consensus that the money, see, they write these things in a way that a normal person would have to read that a separate way. That flips in the sentence. And so if I was to read it as you would raw read, that's interesting. I hate when they do that. Most people in the know of these things seem to have reached a consensus that the money would be best spent on political activism. We already have a lot of technology we need. There's a lot of energy there. What we don't have in many places, and very much so in America, is the political will to do anything about it. Billionaires throw their weight at government all the time. Whilst we don't have better rules and practices in place to limit this, let's then use it for all we've got. This is a lesson in marketing and spin. Branson probably does it better than anyone. The rest are learning quickly, and we can do better. That just makes me think of all the influencers that listen to, the Tonys out there. In the meantime, there are incredible people who deserve posts, articles, ravings about in the public, raising in panel discussions and mentions time and time again. We can start with this person, the intrepid founder, world record breaker, and diver who steadfastly done the hard work her entire life. And it goes on to name a few other people who were fabulous. To Bezos and other billionaires, company founders of all sizes, and us individuals, work on the most important impact you have that's accessible for you, multi-billionaires. That's everything. If you don't do that, the rest is just marketing. All right. And then it says a gentle reminder that we're not saving the earth. We're taking a lot of species down with us. But the earth will eventually be fine. We might not be. We're protecting us from ourselves. I think that's, and our destruction, we're taking a lot of this crap with us. So let's go back to the climate change. Okay, so this comes to us from BBC. So I just thought that was a really great article. Nope. Right here. So I'll put it in the chat if you want to go back and read it yourself and save yourself the ear bleeds of listening to me. Okay, so the BBC, climate change, 7 ways to spot businesses greenwashing. I picked this back off from a Coca-Cola. So here it's got, the Extinction Rebellion with the greenwashing, then the grannies and their makeup and their theatrics, as they're all very theatrical because even astronauts like acting. And so, she has is that a rolled up dollar bill as a curler? That's clever. Okay, and they're greenwashing. So how do you spot it? Okay, we all know who runs this, the big corporations. So let's see what they say. Most of us are trying to be greener, and for that, for some, that means seeking out brands and companies that are environmentally friendly. But how can we check firms really are as green as they make out? Greenwashing. Branding something as eco-friendly, green, or sustainable while it's not the case. Misleads consumers, not customers. Consumers into thinking that they are helping the planet by choosing these products and businesses are being held to account on this, but they're still doing it. So they're not really doing much of anything, are you? Extinction Rebellion. Okay, so false claims over vague language. And here's an example. Europe's lowest emissions, lowest fare airline, Ryanair. They are claiming that they're the lowest emissions, and this was banned. Advertising Standards Authority say this is the area it receives the most complaints about, and some firms have already had adverts banned. In 2019, the advertising regulator banned a Ryanair ad claiming it was the airline with Europe's lowest emissions without a sufficient evidence to support the claim. And a Hyundai advert claiming a car, quote, cleaned the air was also judged by the ASA to be misleading. You know what this makes me think of, though? This makes me think of like a court case where, something is stricken from the record, but of course the jurors have already heard it. And in a court of law, in the game of law, the theatrics of law, these are oftentimes done intentionally. They know it's going to be stricken, but it doesn't matter. The hypnotism has been planted. The seed has been planted. And sometimes these statements or questions that are, I object. These theatrics, small, subtle, unconscious clues can be hidden in the language from masking speech. Who the fuck knows? I mean, I would use all of these things if I was a lawyer. You better fucking believe that if I could just say something, knowing that it might subconsciously leak into the minds of the jurors if their unconscious mind could hear it backwards, just in case that statistic or that research is true. You fucking better believe I'd say things. How do you think I win all the time? Anyway. And so ingredients in a product being described as, quote, natural or organic or eco-friendly, when only some of the ingredients can be described as this, can also fall into this category. So it's a natural product, but it's not an all natural product. But hypnotically, we don't see that. So anyway, it has some different, it's got buzzwords, just the nature or green buzzwords, right? So eco, natural, sustainable, green, 100% eco-friendly. What does that mean? It's good for the planet, your recipe to a healthier planet. Anytime you're going to use any of these, hiding information, fashion brands may promote clothes made of sustainable fabrics. But what does that even mean? Even if the rest of the clothing line is damaging to the environment. For example, a firm could claim to be environmentally friendly, but not take into account supply chain emissions from a coal-powered overseas factory. I'll give you an example of how I saw this. I had a tag from a polyester product or a plastic made outfit. So the outfit itself is not a real fabric. It's plastic. It came to the store in plastic, tagged in plastic, sold into a store, and the tag on it doesn't say that the company does not claim to be environmentally friendly in any way. Clearly they're not. They're making fake products and selling it in big box stores. But the tag on it said, be a responsible, eco-responsible or something. Recycle this tag. So from a distance, that tag on the dress made it look like it's a sustainable company. But really all that tag was another unsustainable product with the sustainability instructions stamped on it and then attached to a dress to remind me through an advertising pamphlet that is also bad for the planet to recycle the tag that they had to make from this. That's how they do it. So that's greenwashing. It makes no sense. Look out for carbon offsetting. So here's a government, a business, or individual can attempt to balance their own emissions by finding other ways to remove an equivalent amount. And so that's what we see the government, this is those, what are they called? You can earn points. So this country, has this many points to use. And if it doesn't use them up, it can sell them to China. And China is not, what is the name of that system that they're doing? Carbon bucks or something, daddy warbucks. I'm not sure. Hello, Ulick. Good morning, my darling. And other lurkers. Check company ownership. Larger firms or conglomerations with a high environmental impact have often brought smaller brands to target environmentally conscious consumers who otherwise might not have chosen to spend with them. So they, by diversification, so you think you're buying from this, but in reality, it's connected to that. We saw that with Bezos. Bezos, has, in one hand, he's talking about saving the planet, but in the other hand, he's destroying it. That tongue in cheek. Eco-friendly products in a wider range. So some firms will market environmentally beneficial products, but will omit information about the impact of their other products. One of the things that I like to point out when we're thinking about in this concept here, it makes me think of all of the bags that you can buy at your checkout. So you can buy a reusable bag, a bag that you can reuse over and over again for $1 at the checkout, or maybe £1 where you are at the checkout. They're cheap, and but you can reuse them. And so you pick up 5 or 6 and you're using them. And then maybe you forget one day. They've got more there for you to buy. And in all honesty, those reusable bags are actually worse on the environment than the plastic bags. They're just as dangerous. They are still made from plastic. They're a thicker weave bag. They last longer, this is true, but they also microplastic themselves. They're formulated this way. They're not recycled. Many people at least would take the plastic bags for a minute. And the funniest thing of all is that these bags are collectible. So the corporations don't give you, okay, this is the reusable bag. We've allowed 3 companies, and they're white, they're plain, you decorate them yourselves. Something like that. Don't even decorate them yourselves, because that goes into collection. If people want one of every design, and they're constantly buying them because this one has another cute little yarn design on it. I love yarn in my pajamas. I have to have that tote bag. And now I have a collection of tote bags. And so you end up with these collections. And collecting is a very late elementary school or double-digit type behavior. So it can clearly see why we are using it to prey on consumers, because it works. It's easy and prevalent right now. Anyway, like this, say hello to our chill box. These box, all these foods don't come like this. They're going to come packaged in plastic. The lettuce is in plastic. The cabbage is in plastic. The bread is in plastic. Plastic free and recyclable lasts a year. It makes a claim that its packaging was 100% plastic free and recyclable. It lasts 1 year, made with recycled paper, keeps ingredients fresh, fully recyclable. Refrigerate ingredients inside right away. Eco chill box. But what does what does that mean? And how did they make that box? That impact is making those reusable bags. What's the impact of those reusable bags? It doesn't matter. You're buying them because I put reusable on it. What? And then I put a design on it. You buy it because I say it's green. That's the idea. Then they talk about McDonald's where their straws weren't actually recyclable. You couldn't recycle the straws. Does anybody remember the straw phenomenon of 2018? Anyway, so these are parts of. So I found this at ESG Clarity. UK urged to adopt ISSB standards by sustainable investment industry. Look, they've turned the Union Jack green. Groups respond to TAC consultation saying IFRS S1 and IFRS S2 should become UK's regulatory requirements. Now, why am I sharing this? Because I found this to be quite interesting. So let's just go over here and look up what the IFRS S1 general requirements for disclosure of sustainability related financial information is. The IFRS S1 is effective for annual reporting periods beginning on or after 1st of January 2024, with earlier application permitted as long as IFRS S2 climate-related disclosure is also applied. The objective is to require an entity to disclose. This is where I got really confused. So it sounds like they want to create an entity that will disclose information about the sustainability related risks and opportunities that is useful to users and general purpose financial reports in making decisions relating to providing resources to the entity. Sounds like a think tank is what unless somebody reads that differently, please correct me, because that sounds like this IFRS S1 and S2 is a think tank. Money to pay for a think tank. So it requires the entity to disclose information about all sustainability risks and opportunities that can reasonably be expected to affect the entity's cash flows, its access to finance, or cost of capital over short, medium, and long term, collectively referred to as sustainable related risks and opportunities that can be reasonably expected to affect the entity's prospects. That's another way to look at it, to be referred to as. I mean, that's quite a mouthful. It prescribes how an entity prepares and reports its. So what it sets out general requirements for the content and presentation of those disclosures so that the information disclosed is useful to users in making decisions relating to providing resources to the entity. It sets out the requirements for disclosing information about the entity's sustainability related risks and opportunities. In particularly, an entity is required to provide disclosures about the governance process, controls, and procedures the entity uses to monitor, manage, and oversee sustainability related risks and opportunities. Again, it's not the company, it's wanting to govern the processes, controls, and procedures that they use to monitor. These all sound like think tanks and statistics. These do not sound like any type of. I have no fucking idea what this is. The entity's strategy for managing sustainable related risks and their strategy for managing. They need that. Again, that's statistics. The process the entity uses to identify, access, and prioritize, more statistics. The entity's performance in related sustainability related risks and opportunities, not actions, more statistics, including progress towards any targets the entity has set, goals. This is a business meeting. So why is this happening? What the fuck? So investment firms and sustainable industry bodies have strongly encouraged. So investment firms, money, statistics, that's what that is. They have encouraged the UK to adopt this disclosure standards, which is basically what? What exactly is it? You have to disclose what? Your statistics of what you might do, or your strategies for, or your identifyings. This is all the priest. This is ridiculous, is what this is. Anyway, if I'm wrong, somebody set me straight. Do a stream and say Joni Rotten doesn't know what the fuck she's talking about, and I'm gonna fix it. And then send me a link so that I can go and learn. Because this is what this sounds like to me, the average human being who's reading the BBC or whatever this is. Okay. The dummies. So explain to me what this is. Okay. Not someone. Anyway, so it goes on to say that in July of 2023, the Secretariat to the UK Sustainability Disclosure Technical Advisory Committee published, this is all statistics, a call for evidence to seek UK's views on the if, and the ifs, that's what I'm going to call them, if one and if two, and their prospective use in the UK. These are the first two sustainability discourse standards developed by the ISSB and are intended to serve as a global baseline, so everyone, of sustainability disclosures for the capital markets. But they're not disclosing anything. I don't see them disclosing anything but their strategy. They're identifying and prioritizing and monitoring. What is the related risks? These are all statistics. This isn't monitoring shit. I don't see how that's a disclosure to let them know what your think tanks are thinking. That just seems very, I don't know, washable. They prescribe how companies prepare and report their sustainable related financial disclosures. Out of the requirements for the company to disclose information about the climate related risks and opportunities while building on the requirements of the ifs. Hello, Alphabet Cat. I see that some comments have come in. And Arkash, good morning. Good to see you. The whole green agenda has very little to do with protecting the environment. In reality, it's a way of the elites to control the resources of how the public live their lives, and a coward culture. In the UK, the Tories are only, I'm probably totally chopping that word, so forgive me. The Tories are only postponing things like a ban on diesel and petrol vehicles, as well as a ban on oil and gas broilers for your home. Just listening to them, don't think you know that, right? Just wow. Okay. Excellent conversations. Yeah, so this too is to ISSB or not to be. Another article I could switch over to. We strongly encourage the UK to endorse the IFRS disclosure standards to view their highly granularity and inclusion of sustainability information beyond climate, says this person, the Chief Governance and Compliance Officer. And another person who's got the title of Senior ESG Policy Advisor at Norges Bank Investment Management and said in the firm's consultation response, a sentiment echoed by the legal and general group. Money, 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 money. The principles for responsible investment added the UK should endorse the PRI should endorse the standards and transpose them into UK regulatory requirements as soon as practical. While groups with consultations published by the Financial Reporting Council's website unanimously supported the adoption, some differed on the timing of enforcement. The UK should seriously consider recent calls for a number of organizations to implement the standards on economy-wide basis by said James Alexander, the CEO of UK Sustainable Investments and Finance Association, said there are so many people who are involved in these. Oh shit, you scared the fuck out of me. Thank you, sir. That's it's really interesting. Anything gets done. It seems like the only thing that's done is another company comes out of nowhere and says, we should be involved. Let us share our statistics. It seems like statistics in itself is the devil. It's the devil's handiwork. The details. The devil's in the details. Because I don't ever see anything get done. I see we need to take that to court. We need to. Meanwhile, they are still going ahead with the plan. I don't know if you noticed, but in the movies, they would show like, we're going to tear down this 500-year-old tree back in the 90s or, whatever. And the tree huggers would come out and want to protect the tree, and they would sign a petition and get a council, but none of that was ever done in time to save the trees. So they have to like chain themselves to the front of it or something to prevent them. They do this with natives and the water. They do the dam by the time the people even find out. And because they can't just stop the dam, they can't do a cease and desist. They have to go through all of these processes. Even if the item gets scratched or gets, ends up being stopped, the damage has already been done. The damage is already done. And when I hear them saying spraying skies and talking about this and talking about doing this and trying to get to space, no one fucking asked me. I live on this planet too, you douchebag. And so you should be asking me before you put windmills on the coasts of Carolina. And they go, but you don't even live in Carolina. Doesn't fucking matter. I live on this planet. Carolina is on this planet. And I don't want that there. I don't know what it's going to do. And I care about other people. So I say no. Democracy is the devil. And because if I can't say no, it should be, if one person says no, it's a no-go. We want to let off mutant mosquitoes to prevent malaria. What do you think of that? No, I don't want to do that. I think we could come up with other ideas. That one sounds dumb. Okay, we won't do it. But I'm not asked. In fact, no one is asked. They do it, and then they tell you they've done it. And then when it fucks up, they go, oops. That's horrible. That's a very bad business practice, but that is how it works. So, okay. Anyway, I found that to be an interesting article. So I'm going to put it in the chat as well if you want to go and read more about that yourself. Then let's scoot over. So we talked about that. I'll put this in there as well if you want to go and see if you can figure out what the fuck this is talking about and report back to me so that I have the correct information. I don't want to sound like an idiot. Here's just a few images that I came across when I Google searched greenwashing examples. So, Coca-Cola Life New Coca-Cola Life, they turn it, the label goes green. Sweetness from natural sources, stevia, cane sugar and stevia, natural sources. We've also make our razor blades green. We make our detergents green, our diapers green, our eye wash green, our cleansers green. We have eco green on our cups that we throw away in the trash. If we color it green and then you're like, hello, I'm a paper bottle. And then when you open it up, it's literally a bottle covered in paper. They're hoping you won't look inside their hat, that you won't notice. You'll just throw it away thinking it's biodegradable. Here's another one that this product says it uses 15% less plastic. It's fashionably thinner. That means you get 15% less water. We're green. So you can just paint the bottle green. So that's that. Look, we fucked up. That's a good way of putting it. So you can see McDonald's has gone green, bio, certified, organic. We've all fell for this. They make it look, and one of the green strategies is to make something look very simple and plain, gas friendly to gas free. Dawn detergent was used for oil spills as a way to clean grease. So all we need is Dawn. It's probably owned by, again, one of the green movements. So this is greenwashing. And then they do horrible other things to the planet. Okay, so I found this. This came from the Knights Crier, North Penn High School, in Lansdale, Pennsylvania. So, greenwashing. When being eco-friendly isn't enough, most companies are more shady than you think. In April 18th of 2020. So this really comes from a high school. This is rad. So sometimes things that are environmentally friendly are actually worse for the planet as people begin to educate themselves on how they could leave a better impact on the environment. They often end up buying into misleading claims. The term greenwashing was introduced by environmentalist Jay Westerveld in 1986. Greenwashing is a type of green marketing that claims that a company's ethics or products are environmentally friendly. In truth, the business promotes the opposite. There are types of greenwashing. Green imagery. In commercials, they can have the model walking through a rainforest, making it appear as if the product is made from or the earth with its fruity scents and green-colored packaging. This is misleading. They have misleading claims. They might say they're certified better for the planet or chemical free or non-toxic. We also saw this with the fat-free and low-fat movement of the 2000s. However, those statements can be self-declared and are very vague or subjective. Which chemical is it free of? What or who is it certified by? They claim to be puffery, which is legal because it doesn't necessarily harm anyone, rather than declared as a false advertising, which is illegal. And so, you have to be aware. You have to go look and do the work for you. Is it better than the planet? Better than what? Better exactly than what? Hidden trade-offs. Consumer believes brands that say their products are made of recycled material to a certain extent, but are they? They're only about 10 to 20% of its use. The rest is made from cut down trees or new. So it's made of a recycled material, not all of it. They only need to give a small percentage. Irrelevant claims. They don't really cause any harm, but they prevent you from finding better brands. For example, some claims mention CFCs, a chemical that has dangerous effects on the ozone layer. It makes no difference because the chemical has been banned for over 30 years, which means that no products contain it anyway. And lesser than two evils, some environmentalists' claims, such as organic or green, are placed on products that have already questionable environmental factors. As an example of this, organic cigarettes. Any type of cigarette that is harmful, it hurts your personal health, it contributes to deforestation, and it pollutes our ecosystem. Where can we find it? You can find it fucking everywhere. A brand, Love Beauty and Planet, makes itself as vegan. However, the brand is actually owned by a company, Unilever, that tests on animals and is one of the largest contributors to plastic waste. Unilever is a British Dutch transnational consumer goods company that owns other top brands such as Dove, Lipton, and Breyers. Despite their attempts to promote gender equality and save the environment through their advertisements, it's all for marketing. In 2001, Hindustan Unilever, the Indian subsidiary of Unilever, dumped the toxic mercury waste in the Kodi Canal. Is that Kodiak Canal? However you say that, in India. As a result, 45 workers and 18 children died in a thermometer plant from mercury exposure. The company doesn't care about people. It only cares about the profit they make. They say their vegan is cruelty-free would be a vegan statement. Perhaps their product has not been tested on animals, but there's no clarification as to whether its ingredients aren't cruelty-free. The company does not disclose any further information about their animal testing products, and considering that their parent company is unethical, it's difficult to confirm that it promises what it claims. Fast fashion companies like H&M use green marketing to promote it to consumers that that they are ethical. It has a separate line within the company that promotes sustainability, but as an entire brand itself, H&M remains as an unethical company that supports child labor and poor working conditions. It also has a recycling program, but there's no information on where the clothes end up. Most likely, they will end up in landfills. Desperate for their efforts, their business model needs work, and they cannot rely on separate line to make their entire company a separate line to make a tagline. Other companies like Nestle claim that they have made efforts to reduce plastic waste when they're when they're the leading company that contributes to the most plastic waste in ocean and landfills. They made the claim that they reduce their plastic waste by making their bottle cap size or bottle shape smaller, when in reality that means nothing. Additionally, they pulled water from federal land in California, despite it suffering a drought, which forced the Canadians to buy their water in plastic bottles. Another issue in itself. The company's motivation is greed, and they use green marketing tools to promote that they care about our planet when they don't. Sometimes environmental friendly products aren't as friendly as many people think. When purchasing sustainable items off Amazon or in stores, customers risk getting them in plastic packaging when the product itself is made of reduced waste. Although Amazon can be the only best option price and accessibility wise, the company and its suppliers contribute to greenwashing by advertising a product as 100% earth friendly when it has excessive packaging. How to identify the better product? When trying to identify whether or not a company is greenwashing its product or brand, transparency matters. If the brand cannot prove their claims, they aren't being transparent. If it isn't certified by a reliable organization like the FDA or the EPA, thank God for them, they aren't being transparent. If the brand can't give you more information on their website or in a response to an email their customer has sent, then they aren't being transparent. If the companies are not transparent with their consumers, not customers, they are making misleading claims. So what can we do about it? Just don't support them anymore. Instead of supporting fast fashion, buy clothes secondhand or support sustainable brands such as Everlane. Okay, the only thing with these is that they're not going to be this way for long, because as soon as big business catches on that these brand names have a large customer base, they're going to Shark Tank buy them up. And then you're still going to be buying Girlfriend, but in reality, it's owned now by Unilever, and you weren't aware of that. They're going to keep all of the same packaging. Instead of supporting unethical soap brands, how about you do this? Don't buy, make them yourself, buy them handmade or locally made. And take the time to read the labels and ask questions. There's tons of people who make everything from hand lotion to deodorant to soap to conditioning, all made from plants, and you can buy them from them instead. And don't buy it from them on Amazon. Find them on a different way. I'd say Etsy, but Etsy's turned into a shithole now as well. So in all honesty, you have no idea if you're actually getting handmade items on Etsy anymore. Many of them can also be found in China databases. So there's a big problem with that as well. So maybe just go to local markets or something, or, learn how to make something yourself and share it. That's how I'm going to do. I'm going to share my eggs. Consumers deserve to know. Okay. So just not buying as much. That's a big start. Buying secondhand, buying handmade. Those are things. So I went and looked up who this Jay Westerveld is. You may or may not remember him. He has a very classic look to him, and he's well known for a lot of things back in the the days of Gore. But Greenpeace and these movements, but he's part of a big problem. So let's just learn about him. He was an ecologist and researcher of habitats associated with endangered species, including the clam shrimp, the bog turtle, and the northern cricket frog. This was one of the people that, somebody like me in the 90s would have been, looking up to as a leader in the green movement, but then you find out they're full of shit as well. The 80s, 90s there. He coined this term in a 1986 essay examining practices of the hotel industry. And so that we learned about that little story, but I'm going to tell you a few more things about him. He did a few good things. He claimed to have discovered a new population of the rare clam shrimp. If confirmed, it would be the fourth population recorded in New York State out of approximately a dozen worldwide. He was also responsible for relocating the habitat of additional members of a recently discovered species of frogs. How do I know Jay didn't just go plant those frogs there or plant those clams there? I don't know. Between 2008 and 2010, he opposed construction on the Glenmere Mansion Restoration Project. It hosts New York's largest population of the endangered northern cricket frog. And in 2010, The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation halted the construction when it became apparent that the developers were operating without a required environmental permits or paperwork. He became a pain in the ass, and a bunch of lawyers made some money. And the mansion's developers were fined and cited by the New York Department of Environmental Conservation for violations of having proper paperwork in regard to the impact of construction on the northern cricket frog. Subsequent studies found that no frog habitats were actually on the property, and the mansion and grounds were restored. So if I was to guess, I would say that Mr. J. Westerfield was employed. So then let me go over here. Here are some of his images, that are going with Mr. J. A lot of these kinds of things. He's here doing a 5-star review on some hotel. He's playing with box turtles. These sorts of things. Hex performance. So he's trying to work. Okay, so here's some of the things I found interesting about Mr. J. His net worth. So this was at Celebrity Age Wiki. It's really the only channel I could find with any information on him at all. It's got his basic stuff, and it tells you nothing else except down here it does tell you his net worth. Most of it's under review, but he's claiming that his net worth in 2023 is about $1 million to $5 million. This guy's net worth, it's been growing. So there's that. And then I wanted to look at works with, oh wait. Well, it's not. All right, let me think how to word this. Okay, hang on. Yeah. I'm in here. Wait, just 1 second. Hang on. I don't know. Keep it. I don't know. Okay. Hello, James Patrick. Welcome. The lesser spotted green tit, also known as. So I was trying to see where he makes this money. And it seems like I may have to do a little bit. Yeah. I'm not sure. How does he have so much money? You know, who's paying him is what I'm trying to ask the question of. I don't know. Um, we'd have to dig further, and I didn't bother to do that previously. So anyway, I thought that was all kind of interesting. Winner takes all, the elite charade of changing the world. Um, and oh, it's a book. Oh, it's a book. That's what that was. The elite charade of changing the world. So that might be a fun one to read. Anyway, okay, that's it. I did an hour and a half. And I may decide to, just read some of those as a recording. So if you're here for that, don't bother. Anyway, what are your thoughts on greenwashing? And what are your thoughts on, corporate greediness? Just curious. If you have no thoughts, that's fair as well. I am crocheting something awesome for a friend. So that is happening. Did you fall for any of these things? Or do you remember? I mean, all of us believe it up for a second. We at least stop and question. Do you remember some type of green, what was it that got you, movement towards recognizing green means money? It does. Walk the Green Mile. Dead Man Walking. The Emerald City, right? The pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. How lucky I am to have found it. Thank you, Ireland, for leading the way. All very interesting symbolisms there. Anyway, yeah. Well, if no one has anything they wish to discuss, questions, topics, what's going on in the YouTube world? Is there someone more exciting sharing than I? I'm not a very exciting person, I suppose. I don't know. No. Okay, everybody's very quiet now, so I don't know. Join the crew. I don't really have anything else after that. So if nobody is interested in chatting, William, you should start you're good at blabbering on about things. I find you to be one of the I hope that I'm not insulting you, and I hope that people don't think I'm acting like an idiot here, but when I listen to William, I feel I relate to him in his the way he just kind of goes off into space and just has a ramble about some thoughts about a topic. I just really appreciate that. Because and we're not And we're just trying to share information. And sometimes, you know, oh, we all have our own unique style, and you have a style similar to mine. When I would do stand up comedy, a lot of times you would find a comedian, well, not a lot of times, sometimes you would find another comedian that had a very similar style to you, completely different jokes, but just the way you guys were, you were almost like little doppelgangers, you know, and so that was always rad. And so you were looking to find, you know, you didn't want to necessarily copy people. So you were always kind of looking for a way to stand out. I suppose that has I think it does because people I've been guilty as charged. So I do think that it has some sort of entertainment. I'll enjoy it. I listen to you. It's clearly I'm entertained. Hello, Blind Justice. How are you? Welcome to the stream. We were just discussing green movements. I don't know. Different things. I find that stuff interesting. I did that one. And yeah, I did that yesterday. Yesterday, if you missed my stream, I was talking about human behaviors. Yesterday, I find that to be interesting. We're very tricked. We're very easily fooled as humans. We can be. So it's a way more easier than even we suspect. I mean, it's so easy now that they can get almost everyone to, you know, I didn't say Simon Says. You know, then that makes me think of Jurassic Park where he's like, you didn't say the magic word. Fences down, bitches. Free the green movements. I prefer free the green movements. Mm-hmm. So I'm gonna throw up our buddy here. I'm gonna share Chris's jam again. Top of the food chain, just as kind of an intermission. I'll leave the link up. If you want to keep talking, that's fine. Let me know before this, you know, before Chris is finished. And if not, then we'll go find something else to do. But you know, a lot of people all of a sudden came in, you know, at the end. So I'm open for discussion anyway. All right, we'll watch Chris for a second. He's pretty rad. So that was our buddy Chris from 1985. I don't know who that was, really. Just found that video. I'll probably get hit for it. That's my stuff. I'm famous, Chris. Don't you know me? I'm the lead guitarist for a rock band. I didn't know who you are. I just think you play a rad guitar. For a minute outside, it reminded me of being in high school. So that's it. All right, well, since nobody's interested in chatting, I'm going to end this because then I start to feel and sound pathetic to myself. It's labeled a cancer killer. Oh, excellent. Beetroot for all of your cancer needs. Isn't it fun when you learn something new about something you didn't know before and you're all excited? Holy shit, I didn't know. Beetroot. And what kind of things it can do. Anyway. Okay. I'm going to close out. Should we bounce out? I'll probably come back with other stuff, or I have more articles that I'll be sharing. They're private or unlisted at the moment as I've been recording them. So if I ever read something interesting, give it a share or whatever you're supposed to do in the world of the tube. Love you guys.
This public service announcement is brought to you by Rotten Studios. Remember, no contact is the road to freedom.